Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to do a few little miscellaneous jobs on the dually. Now that it's together, certified, etc. on the road, there are a few little things outstanding that we need to deal with. First thing we're going to deal with is the ignition switch and tumbler. I've noticed this truck does a few strange things. For example, if you have the key in the ignition and open the door, it doesn't go ding, 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 ding. But if you grab the key and kind of wiggle it around a little bit, it'll start going ding, ding, ding. The key in the tumbler and all that whole assembly feels kind of sloppy. And when you flick it back to accessory, the radio will play, but the display doesn't work. Sometimes when you shut the truck off and close the door, the odometer stays lit up. It's doing some weird stuff. And I have done my research. I suspected that the tumbler and the switch were probably bad. And I did a little research and found that, yes, indeed, they are problematic things on these trucks. So we're going to go ahead and change that. Here's our parts for this job. Let's see what we've got. This here is the actual ignition switch, right? Pretty straightforward. And then this here, it's a Dorman product. It's a tumbler, and it's self-coding. We'll follow the instructions. So basically, you stick your key in there, and you follow procedure. You turn it all the way one way, then all the way back, and it codes this new cylinder to your key to save you basically a trip to the dealer. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, right now we got to get the inside apart. Step one, we're going to pull both negative battery cables to kill the whole electrical system. So first we pull this guy off. He's just snapped on there. And then underneath here, there's one or two screws. That'll separate these two housings. And then we'll just, using this lever, move the steering column up and down until we get these things off. Now it's hard to see because there's the wiring for the skim thing in the way, but right underneath here there's a little hole in the bottom of this housing, and there's a push button in there. So what we're going to do is turn the key to the on position, or the run position, and then we'll be able to push that pin in and pull the entire tumbler out. And there we have it. Now, the actual ignition switch, this guy here, is held to the bottom of the column with two screws. We should be able to find them. We'll figure out where they are and get them out of the way. Might have to move this assembly first. We'll find out. Sorry, my camera work is terrible. There's two screws that hold this onto the column. We'll get it. We had to unplug the clock spring and remove, that's to gain access to this one screw here. And remove two screws, drop the tilt steering lever out of the way so we can get at the two screws for the ignition switch here. And they are some kind of Torx. Wonder what size they are. Probably 15. Yeah, T15s, and we'll get that switch out of there. Then we just have to release this little tab here, and the ignition switch will slide out this way. And hopefully there's enough wire that we can wrangle our way into getting it unplugged. We'll find out. Worst case, we'll have to remove the CB and drop the knee bolster panel. Let's see what happens. That's easier. Now we can get it. So first thing we do is release the lock tab, and then this thing pulls out like that. Well, it pulls a little further. There we go. And then our ignition switch comes off. Now you can see down in there, the new switch is on the right, and I've rotated the white part down there. I've rotated that so it's in the same position as the switch that we took out. Now we should be able to get it to just pop right in, because it has to engage over this thing. That's the drive shaft that actually drives it. That crosses over from the tumbler. And very important at this point Get the old switch out of your face so you don't accidentally put it back in. Don't ask me how I know stuff like this. All right, once we got that in and engaged, we can put back the 2 screws. Focus, please. There we go. If I said they were T15 when I took them out, I was mistaken. They're T20. So we put the 2 screws in, got them good and tight. Now what I got to do is operate this lever, tilt the column down if it's not tilted down all the way already, and then we can fish the plug into the back of it. There's no room to get the plug back into the switch with the switch in place. So we're going to have to pull it back down, plug it in, and then try and wrestle the whole thing back into the steering column. It really needs either the column dropped or the dash taken apart. So I really don't feel like doing that. So we're going to try and work around. We got it out. We'll get it in. So what we have to do is insert our key into this thing here, turn it clockwise, 1 complete turn, then turn it counterclockwise, back 1 complete turn, and this whole assembly should release from this orange thing, and our tumbler will be coated. So we're going to try it. Here we go. It's in. You got to make sure it's in all the way. 1 full turn, and then out it comes. It is coated. You can see down in there, it's got all the little bits and pieces to code your lock for you. That's pretty cool. Now, on to step 5. We have to get it installed into this. Okay, so now we have to remove the cap from this. And install this into here. I assume it only goes in one way. There we are. Okay, so that's off dead. Unlock. Okay. So now we should be able to install this into the truck. All right, once we got that thing popped back in there, you just line it up. The little pin on the bottom, you'll see it runs down there perfectly. And there's like a little clover shaped thing on the back that engages with the drive for the ignition switch. So we're going to put it in, unlock, run, start. And that's got nice feeling detents to it. And then we're going to push the button. It goes back, push the button, or no, we don't need to push the button. There, and it goes back into accessory. Good. Now we can button the steering column back up and see if it works. Okay, now let's see if this is any better. That still doesn't work. That could also be a product of a worn out key. More than not. The radio still doesn't light up on accessory. That is extremely bizarre. But if you put it to ignition, it lights up. So this key is just wore out. This key here, you stick it in and the dinger goes ding, ding, ding. There we go. But it still doesn't. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen. I'm going to have to get into the schematics of this and see if there is, I have to see what, there's two accessory feeds that come up to the radio, and for some reason when the key is an accessory, well, one of them isn't live or something. Because when you put it to ignition on, the radio lights up. Don't ask me. One of them things. And now I guess while we're in here, I'm going to pull this center stack off, pull the radio out, and see if I can figure out what's going on with the back of it. I took the radio out, jiggled all the wiring, plugged it back in, made 100% sure that it was plugged in solidly. I did check there's three feeds coming up. There's two hot battery that are hot all the time. They were hot. And there is one that is switched ignition, and it was hot too, in ignition and in accessory. So I put it back together, made 100% sure that I clicked the connector good into the back of the radio, and now it works. It's in accessory, and the radio's working, and the display is on. Problem solved. Well, as you can see, it worked the first few times, and now the display is gone when it's in accessory. It's in accessory now. I'm wiggling the key around, nothing happening. Turn ignition on, the display comes back. Can anybody make any sense at all of this? And if I flick it back to accessory, it'll light up for a sec sometimes and then go off. See? Whoop. I have no idea what is going on with that. Well, that was a bunch of rigmarole for nothing. But anyway, at least now we've got a nice new ignition switch and cylinder, and the key's not flopping all around anymore. And it goes ding, ding, ding if you open the door with the key in it. As far as the radio goes, I've got it now where if I flip it into accessory, the display actually lights up for about 4 or 5 seconds, then it goes dark. Don't ask me. It's just going to have to be chalked up as character, I guess. I am going to, I've decided when it's at the dealership next week or whenever it goes in for the airbag actuator, and I want to get an alignment done on it, I'm maybe going to get them to just reflash everything, start from scratch, and we'll go from there. But, yeah, what are you going to do? That was a long day of nothing. That's how it goes sometimes, eh? Now we're going to do something productive. Next thing I want to do is retorque the wheels. So we're going to back it outside so it's easy to get at them all. And I'll show you a trick that we got to do, because the front, it comes in two parts. We have to retorque the adapters, and we have to retorque the wheels. But I think I can reach in there through the handholds in the wheels and get at most of these. We'll find out. The lug nuts were easy. We just go around and torque them, retorque them to 140, like it's stamped right on the end of the nut, 140. And out of all 32 of them, only one, I think this one moved just a hair. The rest of them were good. Now we're going to try and get these ones on the dually adapters. And I already got this one. I'll show you how you do it. We got this wrench. It's 7/8 by 3/4. These are 9/16 fine nuts. So we get that in there. And then I made this. It's just a 1/2 inch bolt with a couple of nuts on it. You get that in there. And we got a 3/4 socket on our torque wrench. And that's how we torque it. Now, how you have to calculate this out. Nowhere could I find a torque spec for these fasteners in the book. But they're 9/16 fine, they're grade 8, and the nominal value, there's torque tables you can look up. The nominal torque for these is 128. So I said, that's fine, that's what we'll go with. And then there's another calculation because we're extending the torque wrench. So you find the torque wrench extension calculator on the internet. You plug in what you're wanting to torque it to, 128, and then you plug in the length of this torque wrench, and that's from center, right? Not from the end. length of this, I think it was 26 inches. And the length of this, center to center, was 9.5. And it came up with 93 foot-pounds. So that's what we've got the torque wrench set to. And we're going to reach through these hand holes in the wheel one by one, and we'll get them. We might have to move the truck a couple of times, but we'll get them all. And you just mark them with a dab of chalk on the end once you've hit them, so you know you've hit them. And it's also very important that you keep your extension and your torque wrench in a straight line. Otherwise, that will skew your calculation. So like that, it's good. Alrighty, let's check this one. There we go. It's good. And then it'll take a few minutes, but we'll get all 8 of them. The only other way of doing this, we would have to take the wheel off, retorque all of these, and then put the wheel on, torque it, drive it again, and torque it again. That gets a little time consuming. Now we're underneath it, and you can see here, piss me off. As careful as we were putting this all back together, there's the friggin' fan wire all wrapped around the fan. This has to be the absolute stupidest thing the Chrysler Corporation has ever done, is putting the stupid friggin' wire for the fan between the fan and the radiator. I had this thing tie wrapped to the rad core, and still the fan managed to suck it back and eat it. This is a titanic piece of shit. So now we have to fix this. Alright, unfortunately, once these things have been pulled once, the wire gets all messed up. I didn't really get any trouble codes, so maybe it's okay, because this, the clutch speed and everything is, or the fan speed and everything is monitored. And if it sees something that doesn't like, it spits out a code. And I got no engine light on or anything, so we're going to put it back together and see what happens. If it eats the thing again, we're going to have to put a clutch with the proper wiring, and I'll probably have to get a new shroud. They're still available from the dealer. Just pisses me off. This has got to be the most asinine design of anything I've ever seen in my life. A heavy-duty friggin' truck, and they've got wires between the fan and the radiator. Absolutely brilliant. Well, now that I've gone through that fiasco, I'm going to get the scanner out here and make sure there's no codes. There's one. Poor connections at the battery. Low battery voltage. Okay, that's from me putting the batteries on and off and leaving the cables loose while I screwed around with stuff. ECM, PCM, power input signal intermittent. Same thing. That's those goofy, that's the battery cables being loose. But I don't see any fan problems so far. Now we're going to the Dodge Enhanced. That's interesting. It says it can't communicate. So I'm going to unplug the data link and plug it back in and try again. Still failed. Weird. Let me start it up and see if that makes any difference. Man, this has not been a successful day, has it? I guess it's also possible that the PCM on this thing has some kind of a freaking Gong Show tune in it or something. Who knows? We're going to go back. We're going to go to Global OBD2. Shut the thing off. Oh, sounds like it just ate the fan wire again. I've about had it with that. Good. Well, at least we got rid of the codes. Now I got to go see. When I shut it off, I just heard the thing eat the fan wire again. I don't know why it does that, but that's really annoying. Well, that's the weirdest thing. The fan fell off. Like it just fell right off the engine. How does that happen? Like when the engine's turning, it should be self-tightening. Anyway, I'll see if I can get it back on and get it tightened back up. And don't ask me. All right, well, it's hard to see down there, but I got it back on. It went on. It tightened up. The thread's not stripped or anything. Don't ask me. I'm going to start it up now and see what happens. All right, well, it's running. The fan's turning. You can hear it. No engine light. I mean, that would explain now I was having an erratic idle. And I guess that was the engine trying to regulate its temperature, because without the fan, all it has is how fast it can turn or not turn the water pump. So it would be idling a lot of times at 11 and 1200 RPM, and I couldn't figure out why. But oh, you can hear that fan now. Now let's put the AC on. And the fan should lock up. Oh yeah, you can really hear it now. I don't know if that clutch, I don't hear the fan now. I'm not sure if that clutch has survived or not. We'll find out. It'll spit out a code if it's not happy. Well, it still says no trouble code, so I don't know. If it persists, if it does that again, we'll do the Power Stroke mod to it. And I don't know. Some say it gives you a light, some say it doesn't. Well, let's shut it off and see what happened. Last time the fan spun itself off when I shut it off. Huh? Seems okay. I'll go check that it's still tight. Well, I felt around the clutch and that, and there's no excessive heat or anything, so maybe we escaped this. We'll only find out when we drive it and start getting it to do some work. But I'm cautiously optimistic that it's... Oh, pardon me, I had a good dinner tonight. Cautiously optimistic that it's okay. It's getting late now, so I'm going to pack it in for the night. And tomorrow, we're going to get under there and do what I went under there to do in the first place. Well, that ain't good. Guess she didn't survive the fan coming off. Yippee-i-o-ki-yay, MFer. I think mercifully I'm going to end this one here. That was a whole lot of frustration and we accomplished really nothing. That's how it goes some days. Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball. Today we were the ball. Hopefully next time we're going to have better luck. I hope you'll come back and see us again soon. And until then, this is Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.